Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Gurudev, and all glories to the assembled Vaishnavi devotees. Dear devotees, we thank you all for being here today. Today is Friday, last day of the week, and we have the privilege of having His Grace SALIKA Prabhu, who will be speaking to us today. SALIKA Prabhu needs no introduction. He's one of our own and one of the hosts.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Sadin. Pacho, say voice no form.
Oh, you cannot hear me. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, your voice is pretty very low.
All right.
Is it better now?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for letting me.
Good.
Okay. So I was saying we have His Grace SALIKA Prabhu, who will be speaking to us today, who needs no further introduction. So Prabhuji, we thank you for being here today and volunteering to speak today. So we may put the verse on the screen and you may take it over from here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritam Narayaivam Narottamam Devi Saraswati Vyasam Tatu Jayamudhirayet. Nasta Aparaisu Abhadresu Nityam Bhagavatam Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one shall offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of God Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. By regular attendance in classes on this Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of God, and who is praised with transcendental song, is established as an irrevocable fact. So today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, chapter 7. Our text reading is from, we are reading from text number 7, chapter 7, text number 7. So I'll read the Sanskrit text, the synonyms, translation, and the purport, and we can try to render service to Srimad Bhagavatam. Karmana antikrito nanurusadristya Rosam dahantam mutatena dahant asyahayam Soyam yad antaram alam pravistam bibeti Karma katam no puna asyamana strayetaha Kamanda antikrito nanurusa adristya Rosam da antam ta utate na da ant asahyam. So yam yad antaram alam pravesyam bieti. Karaman katam no punam asya manasa srayeta. Karaman da ante kritino nano rosa adristya. Rosam da antam utatena da ant asahyam. So yam yadan taram alam pravisyam eti. Karma katam no punam asya manasriyata. Word for word translation. Kamam, lost. Da anti, chastise. Kritina, great stalwarts. Nanu, both. Roshadristya, by wrathful glance. Rosaham, wrath. Da'antaham, being overwhelmed. Utaha, although they, na, cannot. Dahantihi, subjugate. Asahyam, intolerable. Sa, that. Ayaham, in. Yat, because. Antaraham, within. Alaham, however. Pravisaham, entering. Bib he is afraid of. Kama, lost. Kataham, out. No, as a matter of fact. Punaha, again. Asyaha is. Manaha, mind. Strayeta, take shelter of. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda. Srila Abhay Charanaravinda Si Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Great stalwarts like Lord Shiva can, by their wrathful glances, overcome lust and vanquish him. Yet, they cannot be free from the overwhelming effects of their own wrath. Such wrath can never enter into the add of him, the Lord, who is above all this. So how can lust take shelter in his mind? Purport by his divine grace, Labai Charnara Vindesibati Viretaswami. When Lord Shiva was engaged in severely austere meditation, Cupid, the demigod of lust, threw his arrow of sex desire. Lord Shiva, thus being angry at him, glanced at Cupid in great wrath. And at once, the body of Cupid was annihilated. Although Lord Shiva was so powerful, he was unable to get free from the effect of such wrath. But in the behavior of Lord Vishnu, there is no incident of such wrath at any time. On the contrary, Bhrigu Muni tested the tolerance of the Lord by purposely kicking his chest. But instead of being angry at Bhrigu Muni, the Lord begged his pardon, saying that Bhrigu Muni's leg might have been badly hurt because his chest is too hard. The Lord has the sign of the foot of Bhrigu Pada as the mark of tolerance. The Lord, therefore, is never affected by any kind of wrath. So how can there be any place for lust, which is less strong than wrath? When lust or desire is not fulfilled, there is the appearance of wrath. But in the absence of wrath, how can there be any place for lust? The Lord is known as Akta Karma, or one who can fulfill his desires by himself. He does not require anyone's help to satisfy his desires. The Lord is unlimited, and therefore his desires are also unlimited. All living entities but the Lord are limited in every respect. How then can the limited satisfy the desires of the unlimited? The conclusion is that the absolute personality of Godhead has neither lust nor hunger. And even if there is sometimes a show of lust or anger by the absolute, it should be considered an absolute benediction. Magyanam tinirandasya, Gyanam chalakaya, Shaksho militam jena tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale. Om Agyanam Nandasya Gyanam Chalakaya Shaksho militam jena tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale. Soyam Rupam Kadamayam Dadati Swam Pada Antikam. Bandyam Sri Guru Sri Yukta Pada Kamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamsha. Sri Rupam Sagra Ajatam Saganam Raghunatam Tam Saajivam Sadvitam Savadutam Parijanam Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Saganam Lalita Sri Vishakavitam Shah. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapati Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaskute Tapta Kanchana Mogorangira Devi Nabaleshwari Rishabhanam Shute Devi Pranamami Nari Priye Mokan Karuti Bachalam Pangam Lagayate Girim Yakripatam Bande Sri Guru Dinatarinam Vancha Karpataru Vyascha Kripa Sundhu Vyasi Vaschaha Patitanam Pavashnebhyo Vaishnave Namo Nama Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Tita Swami Itinamine Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhu Padaya Asistatmane Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Titi Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pashatyadi Satarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Srinivasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Karmanda Antichristo no nano rusa adhista rosam da antam utate na da unte asahyam soyam yad antaram alam pravisham vieti karman katam no punam asyamana srayeta. Great Star Wars like Lord Shiva can, by their wrathful glance, overcome, lost, and vanquish him. Yet, they cannot be free from the overwhelming effect of their own wrath. Such wrath can never enter into the heart of him, the Lord, who is above all this. So how can lust take shelter in his mind? Hare Krishna. So thank you all the devotees for being here today to release the transcendental narration of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Before trying to render this service of speaking on the statement of the acharyas given by Srila Prabhupada and the text written by Srila Vyasadeva, in this particular text spoken by Srila Brahma, I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, and to Narayan Rishi, the Supreme Human Being. I offer my respectful obeisances to the author of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Vyasadeva, to Narad Muni, and to all of the previous acharyas, our dearmost Srila Prabhupada, the Sena Bhakta, who, by his mercy, we all had the opportunity to hear and repeat the glorious verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam. I beg for the mercy of all of the Vaishnavas gathered here and all around the globe, that I may be able to speak something that meets the desire of the Lord for the pleasure of his devotees and for my personal purification. So today we're reading a continuation from Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd Canto, chapter 7. Text number 7 we are reading today, and the particular text chapter we are reading is describing the specific scheduled incarnation with specific functions, scheduled incarnations of the Lord with specific functions. And it is interesting that here, the Brahma is continuing to explain. We have been hearing the last 6 verses of this chapter. Of course, this space has been set for this whole of this area of narration. Lord Brahma is speaking here and is describing, like we mentioned in the last class, he set the pace for what we are to experience in this verse, or in this chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, talking about the narration of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the purpose for which it is being narrated, which is solely for the purification of those who are in the conditional state of life, and for the transcendental pleasure of those who are on the transcendental platform, and ultimately for pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in the verse we were reading this evening, in my time, Specifically, the Brahma is distinguishing the position of the living entity from the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. According to the Vedic scriptures, both the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entities are qualitatively one. There is no factual difference between the Lord and the living entity. And that is why the Mayavadis are again and again defeated by the illusory energy of the Lord, because they think that there is no separation between the Supreme Lord and the individual soul. Because of this, their qualitative oneness nature. But those who are learned scholars, those who are bhaktars, those who know the import of the scriptures, they know that the Supreme Personality of God and the living entities are qualitatively one. But there is a difference. And that difference is what is pointed out in this verse that we're reading this today. The difference is that the living entity, because is a part, naturally, it becomes susceptible. It falls to the influence of the illusory energy of the Lord. But the Lord is the master. I'm sorry, please. Make me co-host. So the difference is that the Lord, the Supreme Personality of God, is completely different from the living entity, because it never falls down. It's never overcome by any material energy. That is the significant difference between the Lord and the living entity. Otherwise, the living entity and the living, they are all the same in quality. But because the Lord is the origin, is the master and Lord of Maya, or the illusory energy, which is the predominating deity that rules these universes, is never controlled by Maya. Other living entities force, and Krishna confirmed that in the Bhagavad Gita. That the living entity, all, they are part and parcel of me. Just like the part of gold is gold. They are all the same in quality with me. From the highest entity to the lowest living entity, all are controlled. Only Krishna is not controlled. When Lord Brahma became realized, he understood this. So he composed that beautiful verse, Ishwara Parama Krishna Sakchidananda Vigraha. And Adi Govidam Sarvakaranam Karanam. Krishna is the supreme controller, the controller of all controllers, but he himself is never controlled. That is the distinguishing factor between God and the living entity. But then when we talk about great personalities like Lord Shiva, which Lord Brahma is talking about here, sometimes it is misunderstood that when the Lord takes the form of Shiv or Brahma, or when the Lord associates, according to this Vedic scriptures, with the material energy, it appears as if he is under the influence of Maya. But the Lord is never. That is what makes the Lord different. When the Lord manifests himself in the three presiding deities of the universe, for the affairs of this management of this universe, in the form of Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu. Because the Lord is never contaminated at any time. He constantly, always remains the controller of Maya. In the purport to the text we are reading today, Srila Prabhupada gave a narrative of the power that personalities like Lord Shiva possess. In the last couple of verses before this, we've been talking about the power of austerity, how austerity can endow one with so much of power, ability. But no matter how powerful one, no matter how much austerity one can perform, no matter how much discipline one can take, one cannot overcome Maya. And that is what is being explained in this verse. Great personalities like Lord Shiva, by his anger of being tested by Cupid, was born to arches. And great yogis are able to perform these extraordinary powerful feats. Lord Shiva is considered to be powerful because he's a powerful, austere personality. And by his power of austerity, the Cupid personification was born to arches. But this is the symptom of conditional life. Although Lord Shiva is not like in the category of ordinary living entity, but even himself is overcome by illusory energy of the Lord. No any manifestation in this universe have the ability to overcome the influence, because Maya is the manifestation of the goodness of the art of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The mind is created out of the goodness of the Lord. So that is why the Lord said in the Bible, of the senses and the mind. So even Lord Shiva, with all of his potency, power of austerity, he cannot control anger. And this is exhibited in so many. But Prabhupada gave a paraphrasing of the statement in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text number 62 here, that the cause of wrath or anger is as a result of unfulfilled desires. Anger is developed as a result of unfulfilled desires. So therefore, even Lord Shiva, the Brahma, has some desire to fulfill. Only the Lord and his devotees and thank you very much. While contemplating on the object of the senses, a person develops attachment for them, and such attachment, lust is developed. Lust is developed as a result of unfulfilled desire. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Krishna Bhakta Nishkamya Atayeva Santa Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakale Atanta. That only my devotee and me, only them are free. So Srila Prabhupada, in the purport, it gave a very beautiful narration. Our powerful demigods, like even Lord Brahma himself, get bewildered by the influence of the illusory energy of the Lord. Material nature is always like that. There's always distractions. So this the Brahma, the demigods gathered together. They wanted to know who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We all know these stories. And the demigods, they choose Bhrigu Muni, a great learned Brahmana. These three presiding deities, Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu, let us find out who is God, who is the Supreme, who is not influenced. In other words, because they are learned, they could know that for one to be influenced or be affected by the influence of wrath or anger, it means he's conditioned. The symptom of a conditioned soul is that it's prone to be angered by unfulfilled desires. And Bhrigu Muni went to Lord Brahma. And he went to him. Naturally, a child should offer respect to the parents. And he offended Lord Brahma because he did not give the respect accorded to a father. Lord Brahma became so enraged. He was going to kill his own son. And Bhrigu Muni immediately realized, oh, this is not God. This is not the Supreme Personality of God. He went to Lord Shiva. He verbally offended him. We're very used to that word these days. He has offended me. The moment we think that somebody offends me, it means that the person is actually illusion. He's under illusion. Who can offend you? The word offense has been so abused that everyone thinks I'm being offended. It's a symptom of conditional life that we have to rise above. So mentally, he offended Brahma. But when he went to Lord Shiva, and then when sees the brother, naturally, out of affection, he wants to embrace. He said, why can you touch me with this, your dirty body? With all these arches and hobgoblins and all of this. But Shiva became very enraged. Wrath developed. And anger manifested. And he was going to kill him. But then, Bhrigu Muni immediately understood, this cannot be Krishna. This cannot be the controller of all. He's still under the control. Everyone in the creation, in the universe is controlled by the illusory energy of the Lord. Only Krishna is free from control. Only him is not controlled. He's the controller of the controller, who is not controlled. And when Brikumini went to the Lord, unlike mental insult he gave to Brahma, or the verbal insult he gave to Shiva, he actually kicked the Lord on the chest. How many of us can tolerate this? Even if we are also tolerant, we tolerate for some time. We cannot always tolerate. So Lord Vishnu immediately manifests the supreme opulence. Prabhupada concluded in that narration of that story that if there is no wrath, if there is no anger, how can loss develop? Because only when one has an unfulfilled desire that he passionately wants to achieve something by all means that is not under his control. This is the significant difference between the Lord and the living entity. All the living entities in the creation and all of the Vedic scriptures narrate this. In this same Srimad Bhagavatam, in the very first canto, the very first verse of this Brahma Samhita, first canto, chapter 1, verse 1, it is clearly explained that, oh my Lord, Sri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, all pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisance unto you. I meditate upon you, Lord Sri Krishna, because you are the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance, and destructions of the manifested universes. Vasudev said you are conscious, directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestation. Because you have no other cause. You are the cause of all causes. Karanam. And he went further in that verse. He said, even by you, the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, and one is bewildered by the illusory representation of water seen in fire, or land or seen on water. Only because of you, Krishna, do the material universe temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of material nature appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon you, Lord Sri Krishna, who is eternally consistent in transcendental abode, which is forever free, and that is the word, which is forever free from the illusory representation of the material world. That is the significance. He is forever free from the illusory representation of material energy. And this is the quality of the Lord that is manifest in those devotees. And that is why the Lord does not give himself to anyone and everyone easily. And that's why he told Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita that I'm never manifested to the fools and foolish. I'm covered by what? By my illusory energy. So although Lord Shiva is such a powerful demigod, he's such a powerful personality, but he's still under the influence of the control of the material illusory energy. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adilila chapter 7, text 115, purport, Prabhupada quoted Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami. He said that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami explained that the variegatedness personal feature of the absolute truth is the Vishnu Tattva, and that the material energy which creates this cosmic manifestation is the energy of the Lord, of Lord Vishnu. the creative force is merely the energy of the Lord. But the foolish conclude that because the Lord has distributed himself in an impersonal form, he has no separate existence. The impersonal Brahman, however, cannot possess energies, nor the Vedic literature state that Maya, the illusory energy, is covered by another Maya. Therefore, there are hundreds and thousands of references, however, to Vishnu Maya, Parasya Sakti, or the energy of the Lord Vishnu. And Prabhupada quoted that in the Bhagavad Gita chapter 7, text number 14, Krishna refers to that Mama Maya Dhuratyaya, Mama Maya, Mama Maya, my energy. So it's emphasizing the Lord is the controller of Maya everywhere in the revealed scriptures. It is quoted. Maya Devi is controlled by the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna. And that is what Prabhupada is saying. Brahma is telling to Narad Muni here in this verse, that the Lord is never controlled. We can understand the difference between the Lord and the conditioned living entities, whichever level they have, whether in the category of the demigods, like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, or powerful living entities on this earth, but still, they are influenced by the influence of the three modes of material nature. Only the Lord is never overcome by the influence of material energy. The same assertion is made in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila chapter 20, text number 307. In the Prabhupada still emphasizes when Prabhupada was talking about when Gabruda Kasai Vishnu accepts material modes of nature for the purpose of dissolving the cosmic manifestation, his form is called Rudra. Lord Shiva, who is quoted in this verse, is the manifestation of Gabruda Kasai Vishnu for the purpose of dissolving the cosmic manifestation. But despite the fact that it is, because it's not Vishnu, it's not Krishna, still it becomes controlled. So if one wants to distinguish between a conditional living entity and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this is the symptom to find. So it is said that a devotee offends no one, neither not anyone offends a devotee. So the primary duty of every sadhaka is to become the master of the mind. Because if one does not become the master of the mind eventually becomes his master. One has to, by his endeavor in the path of bhakti, makes the mind becomes a devotee. Otherwise, the mind will become the devotee, and the Jiva Atma will become the mind. The nature of the spirit soul is that it should control the senses, including the mind. His duty is to make the mind a devotee. But when one fails to become a devotee of the Lord by the process of Sananda Gati, or surrendering process to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it gives the position of a devotee to the mind, and the mind becomes his devotee, and the living entity becomes the mind. And in just a way, it becomes controlled. So the whole essence of these scriptures is captured in this text. And that is the purpose where Lord Brahma is narrating these pastimes of the Lord. Lord Brahma, when he was, after Lord Brahma, after he came out of his illusory situation, Lord Brahma, he told Lord Brahma, he said, my dear Lord, in this incarnation of yours, you have proved that You are the supreme controller of Maya. And why did Lord Brahma come to that realization? That money is such a very powerful, mischievous entity. Now the money went to Lord Brahma. He said, dear Lord Brahma, my dear father, you know the Lord has just incarnated. He is there in this universe. And Lord Brahma asked, what do you mean? You mean the Lord has incarnated? Yes. So where? In that little village, Gokul, Lord Krishna is there. And Narad Muni said, how can my Lord and Master come into this universe and I do not know? I will go there and check whether it's true. And Narad Muni said, well, I've told you, my father. If you believe me, yes, fine. If you do not, then it is a cup of tea. So now the Brahma decided to go to Vrindavan. And when he went there, it came at a time when the Lord was enjoying his pastimes with his Gopal friends, the calves, and the crows of Vrindavan. And they are having their lunch. And the Brahma, when he looked at it, what is this? Narada Muni, have you started telling lies? You told me that the Lord has incarnated. Which among these, I'm seeing some small boys here eating lunch, and then you are talking, where is my Lord, my master here? And Narada Muni told him, look at that bluish boy who is collecting remnants of his friends and eating. That is your master and Lord. That is Krishna. And Lord Brahma said, how can this be my master? This one that my Krishna gives his remnants to all. He never takes remnants of anyone. He becomes bewildered. And the Muni said, well, I've told you. I said, okay, I will test. If he is actually my master, I will know. And what did he do? He decides to use his mystic opulence, which is what happens to living entity in the conditional life. And he made all of the boys and cows disappear. And he put them in one corner of the universe. And he said, okay, I will go back to my abode and stay for some moment and come back and see. If he is the Lord, my master, he will understand that I'm the one that is playing this. But if he's not my Lord, like ordinary living entity, when he loses something, he will develop wrath, he will develop anger, and he will be running up and down. So he went back. But Krishna played this trick on him. Before he gets back to his abode, Lord Krishna went there and told the gatekeeper, you know, there is a imitation Brahma now. When he comes, don't let him in. Krishna himself assumed the position of Brahma and stayed in the space of Lord Brahma. And the gateman in the abode of Lord Brahma, okay, that whimsical imitation Brahma, we want to see how we enter into this place. And when Lord Brahma got to his abode, he wants to enter into his king, the palace. And the gateman stopped him. He said, what is wrong with all of you? Can't you recognize I'm your master? What are you doing? He said, we already are informed that you are going to come here, your imitation. Can't you see me, my forehead? I'm Brahma, I'm the supreme creator. See, our master is there on his throne. See, Lord Brahma is inside there. And he became bewildered himself. He quickly ran back to Goloka, to Gokul, to find out, is this my Lord that is playing this game with me? It's a long story. We all know these stories of Lord Brahma's pastimes. After his going back and front himself became bewildered by his own mystic opulence. And when he realizes his mistake, say, my dear Lord, the great fortune of these Gopals is immeasurable. And in my next birth, I don't even want to be Lord Brahma. I don't even want to become a Gopal. Make me the grass. So that these most fortunate souls who have by their good fortune become your friends, trample upon my head, the Gopals. So in essence, the Lord is the only master, and everyone is servant. From the highest living entity, Brahma, who is the father of Rudra or Shiva, who was born out of his anger, to the meaningless living entity, Indra Gopa. The symptom is that of falling under the influence of the illusory energy of the Lord. But only Krishna. And Prabhupada ended the purport where he mentioned that even when sometimes the Lord, out of his lila, out of his pastimes, he exhibited, just like when he appeared as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he became very angry and he was attacking Jagai and Madai. Or in his incarnation as Krishna, he was killing Shishupal. These are all his beautiful leelas, pastimes, for the purpose of giving, as he has said in the Bhagavad Gita, giving pleasure to his devotees. So here in this text, summarily, the lesson Prabhupada wanted us to learn is that from the highest living entity to the lowest, including the greatest of all of the greatest demigods, everyone is covered under the influence of the illusory energy of the Lord. Only Krishna himself is not covered by the influence of Maya. And that is the significant difference between the Lord and his manifestations in these different forms of their manifestation in different bodies. And how do we come to realize this and become free? In the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a beautiful verse, First Canto, chapter 2, text number 17. Beautiful verse. It says, Srivanta Swakata Krishna Punya Sravana Kirtana Vidhi Antasto I Abhadrani Vidu Noti Surit Satam. Yes, thank you. So, when beautifully chanted, one becomes free from the influence of the three modes of material nature. In other words, Maya has no power over him who has surrendered unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the essence of all of this verse. And to become free from that influence of the Maya Devi, one simply mam evaye prapadiante mayam itam taranti te. Just surrender. That's what Krishna prescribed. And one cannot develop that mood of surrender unless one hears this transcendental narration. In the beginning of in our last few days conversation, we'll be talking about, and it's important to mention this. You know, sometimes when we talked about attachment to material desires, which sex life is said to be the highest form of it. Generally, we look at the woman, but this is actually another illusion, because a woman is not a form of material desires as we often think. Just as the female body is a form of attraction to sex life for a man, the same is a man to a woman. All these categorization, man, woman, male, female, leader, servant, master, superior, inferior, are all influence of the covering of the three modes of material nature. So that is why Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said in his Shastakam, Nadanam, Najanam, Masum Darim, Kavitam Yak, Kamai, Jamani, Jamani Shware, Bavata Bhakti, Haituki to Ayi. I have no desire to accumulate wealth, not desire any followers. I only want your loving devotion and service life after life. He has no other desire. So it is neither, it's not natural, it's not always about a man or a woman. The woman body is a form of material desires, highest form of attachment. That's another manifestation of illusion. Because just as the woman becomes Maya for the man becomes a Maya for the woman. These are all different shades of the manifestation of the influence of the three modes of material nature. So one simply needs to hear this transcendental narration as advised by Sukadeva Goswami. And this beautiful thing he said there is that there's a key word that he used there, when properly heard and chanted. So the most of the time is that, although even sometimes someone is in the path of devotional service, he does not properly hear or chant the holy name, then he is not affected by the powerful potency that is inherent in the transcendental vibration of the Lord. Hare Krishna. So I would like to stop here and open for question and answer, for corrections. Hare Krishna. Thank you for giving this opportunity to render this service.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, His Grace Salika Prabhu. Very beautiful rendition of Krishna Katha. So if anyone may have questions, realizations, comment on the topic discussed today, please, you may unmute and share. But Prabhuji, I have one quick question, and that is, in the purport, Sri Prabhupada was saying, actually in the text itself and in the purport also, that one may be able to overcome lust, but it's not so easy to overcome wrath. Mm-hmm. So in that line, you were saying that only the Lord and his unalloyed devotees can overcome wrath. Yeah. Now, my question is, we know, I should say, we've been told that Lord Shiva is one of the topmost Vaishnavas. So how come such a topmost Vaishnava was unable to overcome his wrath? And even the Lord Brahma himself, we were discussing about his sons, the four sons. He wanted them to enter into marriage life, which they refused, and he got angry and he cursed them. So it appears there is some sort of a different lila and regarding that. But if you may share why such great personalities who are Vaishnavas, like in the case of Lord Shiva, also fall prey to wrath sometimes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. As explained, thank you very much for this beautiful question, and that's a very intelligent one. Yeah, the first thing is to understand about this before going directly to answer your question is that Wrath is a manifestation of unfulfilled desires. And Prabhupada mentioned in the purport itself, everyone needs something to add to something, to give pleasure, to give happiness. Because the nature of the living entity, being part and parcel of the living entity, as we said in the beginning of the lecture, that the living entity and the Supreme Personality of God are equalitatively one. And one of their quality characteristics is that they want to enjoy, because that is the nature of the Lord. Sachit Ananda Vrigraha. The Lord always pleasure. He wants his complete enjoy, and because the living entity has this nature, irrespective of their level, so they want to enjoy, but no one can completely fulfill his desire to enjoy completely except the Supreme Personality of God. And that is his unique position as the Supreme Lord. There is this song that the Christians, they used to sing. I'm not a good singer, but there is the particular phrase that I love when they sing it. It goes like this: you will never share your glory with anybody. Almighty God, that is your name. I always like that phrase, although they may have some different level of perception when they are singing that. But I like that phrase, that you will never share your glory with anyone. You are almighty. That is your name. So that is the uniqueness of Krishna. That is what makes him Krishna. That Krishna, although when he manifests himself, like that reference I quoted in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was explaining that about the incarnation of the Lord as the Purusha avatars. And from Gabodha Kasai, Vishnu, the manifestation of Rudra was manifesting. He's saying that although the Lord manifested himself like this, but that uniqueness in the Yoruba phalanx of adage, there is something that they say. I'll say it in the Yoruba language, and I'll try to translate it. He said that what if and what it means in English is that the secret of seniority is never revealed to the child. But sometimes you reveal the secret of being a senior to the child or to a younger one, but you may not teach the child how to use that secret. So that uniqueness of Krishna, that is what makes him Bhagwan, full in 6 opulences. Even though he has unlimited manifestation in the form of Brahma, Shiva, and all of the great personalities, Lord Shiva is said to be Krishna transformed. And then Lord Brahma gave a very nice descriptive analogy in the Brahma Samhita. He said milk and yogurt, they are the same thing, because yogurt is formed from the milk, but yogurt cannot do the job or work of milk, but milk can do the work of milk and do the work of yogurt. And that is the uniqueness of Krishna as the Supreme Bhagwan, Swayam Bhagwan. That is his uniqueness as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So although the Lord has manifested himself in unlimited manifestations, but when it is said, Om Punam Ada Punam 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 Udasyate, Punam Adaya, Punam Ivavashishate. Although he is the Supreme Personality of God, he has manifested unlimited, he's never reduced. So even though personality like Lord Shiva, who is so powerful, it is said that he has 75% of the quality of God in him, but still he is not God. And that is why I was explaining from the discussion of the text that the main essence of this verse is that it is bringing out the uniqueness of the position of the Supreme Personality of God. So yes, Lord Shiva is such a powerful personality, topmost Vaishnava. But no matter how powerful a part is, it can never become the whole. And that is why, even though Lord Shiva is such a powerful Vaishnava, always in the mood of servitorship to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but despite that, he cannot be God. That is the essence. What is being said there?
Well, thank you so much for the answer. Thank you so much. Anyone else with something to ask or speak about?
I didn't get it from you.
No, I said thank you for the answer to my question.
Okay, thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. And I also threw it out there to the devotees if anyone may have something to share. Well, Narayani Devi, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhu SALIKA for the wonderful class. Actually, my question is a little bit related to the class, but it's something that I keep thinking about it. Okay, the question is, they said Mother Kali creates material, she creates material universe and control material universe. So my question is, so if Mother Kali creates material universe and control the material universe, what did Lord Brahma do?
Thank you very much, Mother, for that beautiful question. In the first place, Mother Durga Devi or Kali does not create. She manages. She's in charge of material nature. She does not create. But Brahma creates. But she is in charge. She is the supervisor or the manager of material nature. Every material creation works under her direction, but she does not create, to the best of my knowledge. But I don't know where you read that or who said that, but material nature is controlled by Durga Devi, but she is not the creator of material nature.
I listened to a lecture yesterday. I keep thinking about it the whole night. And then it's a lecture that I'm listening to. I can't ask a question. So I couldn't ask a question because it's something that I was listening to. That's why I asked that question. So thank you so much.
Yeah, maybe the speaker I wouldn't know who was doing the speaking. Sometimes certain things I don't know from the perspective from where she is referred to sometimes as the creator of the universe. But from what I've read from Vaishnava Siddhantas, Mother Durga Devi is in charge of material nature, but she's not the creator of material nature. That's what I have heard and read. So
thank you so much, Prabhu SALIKA.
Well, that is what I know too. Mother Durga is like the supervisor of the material manifestation. But Lord Brahma is the secondary creator. The primary creator is Mahavishnu, which is the Pradhan. And the secondary creator, making things manifest as we see them, is Lord Brahma. And one who supervises is Durga. In some parts also, it is said that Lord Shiva is the father and Durga, or say Kali, is the mother. And the two of them bring forth all 11 entities. So there are different ways the Veda scripture talk about creation, but like Salika Prabhu was saying, according to our Siddhantas Vaishnavas, the understanding is that Lord Brahma is the secondary creator of the cosmic manifestation. Anyone else with something to share in this regard, or any other thing somebody may want to share? Well, I think we may, today is Friday, we may ask the devotees to kindly unmute, and we all chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra to express our appreciation to our revered speaker, His Grace Salika Prabhu, for giving us his love and wisdom from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanda Kalpatarabhyascha Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Ananta Kotiva Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to Shri Ki
I
Jai.
said you'll be here. You said so I can go